At the dawn of the 20th century, a story originating from the Grand Canyon surprised researchers. This story, full of fantasy and mystery, will stimulate the curiosity of many generations to come. That story took place in 1909. At that time, the Phoenix Guest published an article that shocked the archaeological world. Researchers have made an amazing discovery hidden deep in the vast maze of the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon is the greatest canyon in the world in terms of width, depth, and length. This discovery evokes a connection with the most ancient civilization on this planet, the Egyptian civilization. According to the article, an expedition sponsored by the Smithsonian Institution, led by Professor S.A. Jordan, headed to the most remote and inaccessible part of the Grand Canyon in an adventurous way. That's Marble Canyon. Here, they accidentally discovered a series of caves that could change humanity's perception forever. These are caves that contain evidence of ancient Egyptian civilization. What mysteries lie deep within the most majestic wonder that Mother Nature has given to our planet? Does the Grand Canyon explain the existence and connection to an ancient civilization? Let's find the answers to these questions in today's exploration of the mysterious. Deep under the world wonder Grand Canyon, before starting this fascinating journey, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to support the whole crew. Let's start. Let's take a look at one of mankind's greatest natural wonders. Surely, the grandeur, immensity, and strangely unique colors of the Grand Canyon will make you feel like you are lost on a strange planet, no longer on Earth. In the middle of the vast plateau, the ground suddenly collapsed, forming a huge, deep basin full of horizontal cuts. Along that basin, countless red-brown rocky mountains rise, shaped like ancient temples nestled next to each other. The mountains here have a very strange shape, with very even and majestic rock patterns. Water, wind, and time have contributed to creating layers of rock on its surface, forming an extremely special geological form. Researchers believe that the Grand Canyon is nearly 2 million years old. In the unique terrain of the Grand Canyon, explorers are said to have found a network of tunnels and chambers here, specifically in Marble Canyon. One of them is said to contain items and artifacts related to ancient Egyptian civilization. These caves are described as vast and complex. Archaeologists have actually found rooms for living and even ceremonies. The layout of the cave's rooms is described as having a surprising similarity to the ancient temples or tombs of ancient Egypt. It all makes us doubt their true origin, because when geographical distances were what hindered everything in ancient times, it was difficult for a civilization to exist in many places, like that on Earth. More specifically, those news items refer to a cave system called Kincaid Cavern. This cave is named after the leader of the group of scientists who discovered them, J. Kincaid. Kincaid and his group sailed through the Colorado Canyon and then through the Grand Canyon. That place was originally a place very rich in minerals, with rare metals such as gold and silver. Kincaid wanted to see what he and his team could find before the Grand Canyon was permanently closed to the government. Kincaid discovered a series of rooms with complex architecture, covered by layers of desert dust for thousands of years. He followed the meticulously carved stairs and reached the entrance inside the cave. That path was clearly created by human hands. Kincaid walked in, and something unexpected happened. Under the flashlight, walls containing a series of hieroglyphs that could be of ancient Egyptians appeared before the expedition group's eyes. The rooms are identical to the burial chambers of ancient pharaohs, but it's all just begun. Kincaid continued to advance further with his team. A huge complex, estimated to be enough for about 50,000 people, appeared before the explorers' eyes. This is truly a breakthrough discovery. Besides hieroglyphs, the walls are also decorated with paintings that evoke the lives of ancient people along the Nile River. The artifacts that Kincaid discovered are described extremely vividly and delicately. In the cave, there is even a separate area for metal artifacts. According to Kincaid's comment, if this complex existed in ancient times, then clearly the human level in that era could not have reached such heights. Even more surprisingly, Kincaid discovered a room containing dozens of mummies as carefully preserved as those found by modern people in Egypt. The presence of mummies and the mummification methods of the people who lived in the Nile Valley in the Grand Canyon made Kincaid understand that if he wanted to discover all these mysteries, he needed greater help. If the rooms discovered in the Grand Canyon are indeed related to Egyptian civilization, we will truly better understand the daily life, culture, economic, and commercial activities of ancient people. Grand. One of the most impressive artifacts in this discovery are statues that look exactly like Egyptian gods or pharaohs. The presence of these precious artifacts clearly proves that this is not simply a fleeting contact of two cultures, but that ancient Egyptian culture actually existed here in the past. However, the authenticity of these artifacts is still a hot topic in many debates. Kincaid sent the Smithsonian, America's most famous history museum, the notes and artifacts he found. Obviously, in the grand story, the Egyptian civilization disappeared. The artifacts that Kincaid discovered are the most tangible link between modern people and the past. Perhaps from those artifacts, we will discover secrets that have been sealed by time. Sensational information about caves in the Grand Canyon quickly attracted the attention of researchers. Scientists from the Smithsonian Museum quickly came here to find out the truth. The team of scientists and Kincaid discovered something incredible. Ancient humans actually built an almost perfectly symmetrical galaxy structure. All tunnels or caves lead to a central cellar. In that room, they discovered a large statue similar to the Buddha statue in Eastern culture. The group of exploration researchers has posited a hypothesis that perhaps a civilization that originally existed on the other side of the world also formed and developed in the Grand Canyon in ancient times. Highly educated, highly skilled people in Asia have come to North America somehow in the past. But, modern people call America the New World because we think it is really isolated and was only discovered in the last few centuries. Could it be that the ancient Egyptians discovered America before Columbus? In the late 19th century and early 20th century, there were a series of articles about the discovery of mummies believed to resemble Egyptians on this continent, for example, in the Mississippi Valley. However, these discoveries are often incomplete, lost, or even destroyed. So verification is extremely difficult. In fact, the idea that the ancient Egyptians crossed fierce oceans to reach the Americas thousands of years ago is a hypothesis that can overturn all inherent historical values. These unimaginable things are still completely possible because ancient Egypt has built works that far exceed the imagination of modern people, such as pyramids. The beacon of scientific research and world history, the Smithsonian Institution then did not provide any specific evidence or statement with this astonishing discovery. Therefore, the story of the Grand Canyon has led to a series of rampant speculations. Is the Smithsonian helping to cover up a mystery that will change humanity forever? Is it true that there are things in the human past that must forever be left dormant but cannot be awakened? As oral legends about the civilization that once existed in the Grand Canyon spread, so did the controversy. The Grand Canyon is not simply a majestic landscape bestowed by nature. It is also a symbol of hidden history. Since its founding, the Smithsonian Institution has been a guiding light for American archaeology. Scientists here have led many discoveries, discovering many artifacts and knowledge buried by time. However, the surprising thing is that the Smithsonian Institute immediately after the expedition with Kincaid denied any involvement in the mysteries of the Grand Canyon. But this clearly cannot quell public doubts. Why would a place known as the pioneer of archaeology ignore one of such important discoveries? What mystery is hiding behind the silence of the Smithsonian? Are the artifacts previously discovered by Kincaid hidden in the basement of this museum? The contact of ancient civilizations across oceans is not impossible. What if the ancient Egyptians had the help of friends from another planet? Perhaps things will become easier to understand when we believe this hypothesis. Maybe the Egyptians went to the Grand Canyon and left marks that even time cannot erase. Here, hieroglyphic texts found in many different cultures actually contain suggestive evidence of journeys to distant lands. The fact that the Vikings came to America before Columbus actually proves that perhaps what we often hear in historical documents is not true. In fact, there is also evidence that Chinese explorers came to America hundreds of years before the Vikings. But reaching the Grand Canyon is a completely different story. How did ancient people have advanced technology to mine millions of tons of rock and build such an underground city? Hopi, a Native American group living in several states, including New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado, are famous for their accurate prophecies about the future of the world. There is an interesting legend about ants. According to them, they are creatures smaller than humans and have eyes as big as insects. When the Great Flood occurred, swallowing all civilization on Earth, a bright star suddenly appeared in the sky, and the ants brought the Hopi people to the cave at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Most ancient civilizations have myths related to floods. They describe a global disaster when sea levels rise, and civilizations that originally existed on Earth are swallowed. But there is another thing in common in these legendary stories, which is that the people who appeared after the terrible flood were all chosen by the gods. Maybe those are the people under the Grand Canyon cave. The ancient Egyptians used the Nile River as a convenient route for transporting goods. They actually navigated the flow of the Nile River. However, their transoceanic voyages still cause a lot of controversy. In addition to being good at navigating rivers, the ancient Egyptians also had ships capable of traveling for long periods at sea. The Egyptian expedition to Punt during the reign of Queen Hatshepsut is still a fascinating and mysterious journey that humans have not been able to decode. According to Ancient Origins magazine, all kinds of valuable trade goods originated from Punt, an important trade expedition launched by Egyptian Queen Hatshepsut, which returned with more than just spices and food. Living animals, but also gold, leopard skins, and a few live elephants. Large expeditions regularly brought Egyptian goods such as tools and wood to Punt, returning with precious luxuries. But to this day, scholars have not yet determined the exact location of this kingdom because the pharaohs kept it a secret. The location of Punt was once identified with present-day Somalia, but the current convincing argument is that Punt is located in southern Sudan, two Eritrean regions of Ethiopia, because there are many types of flora and fauna depicted in reliefs, paintings, or written documents. Most scholars today believe that Punt was located southeast of Egypt, most likely in the coastal area that now extends from Somalia, Djibouti, Eritrea, to northern Ethiopia and the Red Sea coast of Sudan. However, some scholars have noted that, thanks to ancient inscriptions, Punt porcelain was located in the Arabian Peninsula. It may also have covered the present-day Horn of Africa and southern Arabia. After the end of the New Kingdom, Punt became an unreal and mythical land in myth and legend. But there are also many people who believe that the Punt that ancient and modern people seek is the Grand Canyon today. Supporters of this theory have found similarities in the artistic, architectural, and religious styles of the lands of the ancient Egyptians and Native Americans, which were geographically very distant. Although many scientists believe that this is just cultural evolution and not direct contact at all, advances in genetic science may help modern humans better understand the migration of ancient humans.